Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
This time I'd like to call our Nash County Board of Commissioners meeting for April the 1st to order. I hope we all work hard to not make it an April Fool's Day. And it's customary for us to start our meetings with a prayer by a commissioner. At this time, you can use it to join us in the prayer if you wish. You can use this time to have your own prayer if you wish to do so, or you can use this time for a moment of silence, whichever one you choose to do. And I'd like to call on Commissioner Sue Leggett to lead us in the prayer at this time, and then Wayne Outlaw in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Leggett.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we come to you today with humble hearts to ask for your guidance and grace, wisdom and mercy. Please be with us today as we conduct the business of Nash County. Lord, we ask your blessing over the people present here today and for everyone represented here, including citizens of our county and those beyond the borders of our county. All of these things we ask in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're now on item 4 on our agenda, which is approval of the minutes from our meetings in March. We had a regular meeting 1st of March on March 7th, and then we had a recess legislative dinner meeting on March the 21st. This time I'd call for any corrections or addition to these minutes or a motion to approve as submitted.
Move for approval.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions on that motion? If
Were
not,
the minutes posted?
the minutes
I
were
looked
on your
for 'em,
iPad.
I didn't find them.
They were on my iPad, Mr. Belfield. I'm not sure about yours, sir. Do you have an issue with us moving
Yep.
forward?
No,
Okay,
I just didn't read them.
you just didn't read them. All right,
Yeah, couldn't find them on my iPad.
okay. Well, I'm sure staff will check that after the meeting and see if it got omitted somehow. But any other questions on that motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Minutes stand approved as submitted. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're in a public comment section, which we have each first meeting for the Board of Commissioners. At this time, if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on anything that is on our agenda or anything that you have on your mind that's not on the agenda, we do ask if it's a public hearing, which we have one today on a text amendment, that you wait until that item comes up. But otherwise, you can come up and speak at this time. And what we do is ask you to sign up out front prior to coming into the meeting. I have that list of sign-ups, but if someone didn't realize you needed to sign up when the people that signed up get through speaking, I'd be glad to have you come up anyway. We are not extremely rigid on that because we like to hear from our citizens. I did have 8 people to sign up this morning, which is unusual, but glad that we have that many here today that wish to speak to the commissioners. And if it's okay, I'm going to take them in order, 1 through 8, and then I'll open it back up for anyone else that failed to realize you needed to sign up. At this time, the first signee is David Ferris. David, come forward, state your name and address, and be glad to hear from you this morning, sir. Welcome.
My name is David Ferris, 129 Wildwood Avenue, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. First of all, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Manager, members of the County Commissioners, I applaud your good work and the effort and your time and energy that you put into the county of Nash and the people of our region. I'm here today unsolicited to speak on behalf of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. Some 8, 9, 10 months ago, the General Assembly passed a statute that requires Department of Motor Vehicles to leave no later than October of 2020. In that statute, it stated that it did not have to stay in Raleigh. It could be in Wake County. It could be perhaps in a county of close proximity that was that it could help it economically. I don't remember how I came across that document in late May, but I did. And on the way to North Carolina Wesleyan for a meeting, I rode by the Hardee's campus. It kind of is known now as the Legacy campus. And I looked at it and I thought, why not? Well, upon my return, I pulled in the parking lot and made a phone call to Raleigh. And I was encouraged to seek this. My next stop was to the Carolinas Gateway Partnership in Norris Tolson. I talked to Norris about it. His eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. That was probably the second best thing I've done. The first was reading that document, which we all know state government documents can put you to sleep. The second was going to Norris. Without shadow of doubt, had the Carolinas Gateway Partnership under his direction not gotten involved. Yeah, I have contacts here. I have contacts in Raleigh. But that man and his staff know how to make something happen. We worked hard. We worked tirelessly for 10 months. This thing was postponed. The vote was postponed that I know of 3 times with the Council of State. Very frustrating. We put a plan in place under Norris's direction, under his leadership, and I'm happy to say we were successful. And we were successful because of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. I know there are ups and downs, and you can make stories look any way you want. And there are some concerns. But I will tell you one thing. I've spent many an hour one-on-one with Mr. Tolson and in group meetings with Mr. Tolson. I've never heard him indicate, insinuate, or body language a preference of either county. There's no way in the world that I could ever come up with that. That man and the Gateway Partnership work tirelessly for the betterment of our region. And I think the model that we have between the public and private partnership, City of Rocky Mount, counties of Nash and Edgecombe, is one that's a model for the rest of the state. We're in a unique position because Rocky Mount's in 2 counties. But we also have other counties contacting the Gateway Partnership, trying to figure out why it works and how it works. I caution you, before you make a decision, to look at the large picture. You can make things look any way they want to. I thank you, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Next person is Don Williams. Morning, Don.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners, County Manager. I'm Don Williams. I live at 133 Steeplechase Road in Rocky Mount. I wear several hats that you know me by, one of which is I'm president of Lewis Advertising, also located in Nash County, and I'm currently the chairman of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. My topic this morning might surprise you, but I'm not going to talk about why I think you need to gain more influence or whatever with the partnership, because I want to point out to you that Nash County already has significant influence in the partnership. 100% of the officers of the partnership, the chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary, and the treasurer, were all residents of Nash County. Of the 56 total members of the partnership's board, 70% are residents of Nash County. Of the 27 members of the partnership's executive committee, 80% are residents of Nash County. Of the partnership's current capital campaign, private investor companies and individuals, if you put them all together and list where they're from, 85% are from Nash County. A review of the partnership's current investor contributions shows that 88% of those funds come from Nash County companies and individuals. Some of you might not want to know this, but here's some other additional facts. Even though 85% of the private investors are from Nash County, keep in mind 79% of them are located within the city limits of Rocky Mount. And when you look at the total investor dollars contributed to the partnership over the past 5 years, 83% of these funds have come from companies and individuals located within the city limits of Rocky Mount. So I just want everybody to realize Nash County does have a significant influence. Nash County does have a lot of clout that it could use. And I encourage Nash County, before it takes a vote to separate itself from our partnership, to consider coming to the partnership and letting us have a discussion with you either at executive committee level or at full board level where we can all talk together. Because, you know, everybody calls us a public-private partnership, but we're really more a private-public partnership. And because of that, and because we operate as much like a business as we can, we're open to doing business with Nash County. And I encourage you to talk with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next is Vince Andracchio. Morning, Vince.
Good morning. Chairman Davis and Nash County Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Vince Andracchio. I live at 205 Candlewood Road in Rocky Mount. I was born in Nash County and have lived here my entire life, excepting a few years of schooling and early career. I'm the president of Guardian Holdings. We've been located in Nash County for 57 years. We've operated businesses in West Virginia, Ohio, Virginia, Georgia, and some other states, but we've always headquartered all of our businesses here in Nash County. With your blessing, I served on the board and as the chairman of the board for Nash UNC Healthcare. I've also served on the board and board chair for the Boys and Girls Club. Been involved in other community endeavors as called upon, and I'm with you today because I've been asked to get more involved in the governance of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. Stepping up to the podium, I reminded myself that 7 people get to make the decision as to Nash County's future involvement with the Carolinas Gateway Partnership, and I'm not one of them. With that in mind, I know that the consequences of your decision are long-reaching, and I hope that the comments that I make will be accepted in the spirit they're given, which is a spirit of trying to nudge Nash County into making a decision that doesn't result in an unforced error for economic development for what I believe would be many years to come. By now, you've all received many letters from various business leaders in the community. Signatories of these letters include leaders of Pfizer, Cummings, Draca, Body Knoll, Barnhill Contracting, PNC, BB&T, and Southern Banks, Eagle Transport, and some 20 others. These are many of the community's largest private employers and also the largest private investors in economic development in our community. In preparing for this visit, we wanted to know from these private investors who are Carolina Gateway Partnership investors how they felt about the possibility of Nash County pulling out of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. We talked to every major investor in Carolinas Gateway Partnership, and we didn't do this to bombard you with letters. We did it because we wanted to know how they felt. Without exception, these business leaders see no logic in Nash County pulling out of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. I want to repeat that. So these are the leaders of Pfizer, Cummins, Draca, Body Knoll, Barnhill, Eagle Transport. These are very large private employers and very large contributors to economic development in our community. And without exception, not one saw reason for Nash County to pull out of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. These are smart, committed, mostly Nash County business people. They've chaired local chambers, nonprofits, schools, hospitals. These are the people in your community that are generating the tax base for Nash County and carrying the water for all of us. The reasons that they don't want to see Nash County pull away are varied, and I'm going to cover just a few of them, but the principal reason and the most important one is success. Carolinas Gateway Partnership has been hugely successful, not just for the region, but for Nash County in particular. Almost $1 billion in tax base has been added as a result of the efforts from the Carolinas Gateway Partnership, and over 7,000 jobs have been added. It's a success rate that's really hard to argue against when you think about it. $1 billion is a pretty big number. Secondarily, we believe that it would be far more expensive for Nash County to do this on its own. I may remind the commissioners, to the extent that you were around and you remember it, when we had to replace John Gesseman at the Carolinas Gateway Partnership and we were reviewing candidates for that position, those candidates came with a pretty significant price tag. They're very expensive professionals, and as y'all know, if you've looked into it, they're hard to find. In addition to that, you have to conduct the fundraising piece, which is also expensive. In my estimation, I find it very hard to believe that Nash County could do all of these functions for the $330,000 a year that you're contributing into the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. I think it could be far more than that. I don't know exactly how much more, but it wouldn't shock me if it was double that number. So that's another reason. Also, the raising of the private funds. Just as a reminder, when the Carolinas Gateway Partnership was set up, it was set up in a way that the public entities, including Nash County, would fund the operating costs of the partnership, and then the partnership would go out and raise money from the investor group, and the private investor money that was raised would be used for incentives to the businesses that we were trying to recruit. Nash County is going to have to call on the same business leaders that the Carolinas Gateway Partnership is calling on. These business leaders don't want Nash County coming and requesting funds in addition to Carolinas Gateway Partnership. I think that the business leaders in general feel that having one entity calling on them asking for investment is enough, and they don't like the idea of knowing that they're going to get hit 2 times. I think that's pretty significant, and I think if you put yourself in the shoes of these Nash County businesses, you can easily understand their position on that front. In closing, I just want to say that we've been emphatically asked by the public and private investors in the Carolinas Gateway Partnership to keep it going. That's what we intend to do. And as in that regard, I think we're just respectfully going to ask this of you. Please remain a partner in Carolinas Gateway Partnership. Please work with us to create potential economic development sites in Nash County, maybe even a mega site. The timing's perfect. Please work with us to find a solution to get natural gas to the Middlesex Economic Development Site in Nash County. Let's create inventory here in Nash County that the Carolinas Gateway Partnership salespeople can sell. Let's keep regionalism alive. Let's all pull on the same set of oars and really make this community go like it's never gone before. If I can answer any questions in the future, I'd be happy to talk to any one of you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vince. Next on the list is Norris Tolson.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Morning, sir.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Norris Tolson. I live at 347 NC 42 West outside of Pine Tops. I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words about this issue this morning. Economic development, regardless of who's in control from the seller side, is a process that is totally controlled by the client. The client decides where they're going to go, what they're going to spend, what areas they want to operate in, and how they're going to operate in that territory. It is a process that is extremely competitive, and one where your ticket to the process is designed around preparedness. Secretary Copeland addressed that when he was in town recently, when he said, preparedness to meet the client's needs is what determines whether you win or lose. Preparedness in the client's mind is land, the availability of land and the availability and the price of that land, labor or the potential to fill the client's labor needs, infrastructure, water, sewer, power, natural gas, roads, and sometimes railroads, and finally, a location where the client can set up his business, get in operation quickly in a business-friendly environment, and operate and begin to grow and make money. Now, this preparedness business is a highly important issue for everybody who's in the economic development business, wherever you are. And lack of availability of any one of these infrastructure needs or a non-competitive price on any one of these needs will immediately drop you out of the process. The best way I know to explain that to you simply is to just look at our Middlesex site. Our Middlesex site, over the last 12 months, we have been eliminated from 9 companies looking to locate. We have been eliminated from that process because we did not already have natural gas on that site. Since natural gas was a key ingredient of their needs, we were eliminated from the process. Now, I would also suggest to you this morning that client handling is a very slow and arduous process, one that requires an enormous amount of patience. I liken the process to an iceberg. The 25% that you can see above the water are clients, visits, dinners, negotiations. Some of that, which involves some of you, the chairman in particular, is frequently in those meetings. The remaining 75% you do not see is the paperwork, the enormous number of phone calls and interactions and visits that go on with the staff, minor and significant things, but all crucial to a satisfactory conclusion. Just 2 examples. The Millennia Project in Spring Hope, which you recall, 277 new jobs, 450,000 investment. Krista Eichert logged 277 hours of staff time to land that project. The DMV project, which David mentioned, 480 jobs. And by the way, on Millennia, you're all invited. When is it, Krista? Wednesday morning? We have an announcement celebration down there Wednesday morning at noontime. I hope all of you will come. The DMV project, which David mentioned, 480 jobs, about $12 million in investment for Nash County on what we now call the DMV campus. I personally have logged over 400 hours of staff time working that project since we started working it. And David just reminded me, he's logged another 400 hours, by the way. But Krista and Josh Tatum in our office have logged another 100 hours. So to date, we've got about 500 hours in bringing that project to Nash County. And it is coming, and we'll talk about that with you a little bit later in closed session. Now, I asked the question of myself, is this time worth it? I mean, putting this kind of time in the project, of course it's worth it. But my message to you is that that time is crucial, arduous, and hard work, and by the way, not always too glamorous, but it is all essential to getting the job done. Finally, I want to say to you, all of you, that we work just as hard on an expansion project as we do on a new project. New projects require a lot more time and investment, but expansion projects tend to provide comparable jobs, or new tax base, and significantly more return on investment to the county. LS Tractor and Nutcal are 2 really good examples. Nutcal, a new project, gave you 76% on your return on investment, 76%. It gave you on your, it was you spent $1.8 million on that project out of your funds. $11 million in new tax base, 78 new jobs. But the staff put 780 hours of staff time into landing that project. LS Tractor, on the other hand, which was an expansion project, put $12 million into your tax base, 31 new jobs, and no investment from Nash County. The partnership out of private funds spent $34,000, our private funds, to leverage other investment into that project. Cost you nothing. Your return on investment was 100%, and the staff spent right at 300 hours on that expansion. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we're disappointed that you're not satisfied with your return on investment in the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. We spent 22 years together partnering to build together the great results for the Twin Counties and the 18 municipalities that we now can show people with factual data, not interpreted data, and not selected data. Nash County results speak for themselves, and I've shared that with you in recent weeks. Whatever you decide today is your decision, and we understand that. But let me also say that we have been encouraged from the leadership of the partnership and from the city of Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County, and the city of Tarboro to maintain the integrity of the Carolina Gateways Partnership and to continue to represent them in economic development activity, and we intend to do that. But I would also say to you that we will continue to work the 34 projects that we're now working in Nash County just as hard as we did the day before this discussion took place, up until the day that you decide you no longer need us to represent you in the county, if that is your decision. Finally, Mr. Chairman, we wish you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Doe. Next person is a Deborah Jordan.
Good morning,
Morning, Ms. Jordan.
Commissioners, Manager, Chair. I am Deborah Jordan. I live at 614 East Wilson Street, Tarboro, North Carolina. I have provided each one of you with a copy of information that is the reason why I'm here today. I stand before you today as an elected official, as a parent of an autistic IDD child, and as a qualified professional for a local provider agency. The purpose of my attendance is to petition your support with closing the gap needs for families that live in Nash County that are not on the innovation waiver. For some of the families, the wait has been up to and over 7 years to obtain the innovation waiver slot. My personal experience, the wait was 16 years. My son was placed on the waiting list at age 7. He received his services at age 23. Okay? I have worked in my current capacity as a QP for over 10 years. I have seen the struggles of the families. I have worked alongside these families on and off the clock to seek assistance with daily living needs of their loved one. It has been a struggle. Upon Nash County switching to Trillium as their LME MCO, and for those that don't understand what that means, local management entity and managed care organization of the Nash County Medicaid dollars, okay? So many families were and are still being affected negatively. How might you ask? The state-funded IPRS eligible recipients are being offered only respite services, which amounts to about 5 hours per week. Until recently, a memorandum was issued in November 2018 to increase to 10 hours per week. When they were with East Point, these individuals were eligible for developmental therapy, personal assistance, and respite services. The state-funded IPRS eligible recipients can receive more hours, but as it stands, Trillium are refusing to expand contracts for agencies to provide the other two services of developmental therapy and personal assistance. Currently, Easter Seals is the only agency of choice to provide DT and personal assistance to Nash County state-funded families. These families were not made aware of this. They were not made aware of what they would face when Nash decided to switch to Trillium as their local management entity. This poses a problem because Easter Seals are located in Pitt County, in Greenville, and most likely will only attract staff from that area who would not want to travel to Sharpsburg, Rocky Mount, Nashville, or even more rural counties to provide services. And that is because the pay rate for these individuals is so low, it wouldn't be worth them coming this far to work. My current employer, Rest Care Home Care, located in Rocky Mount, receives referrals from Trillium because the agency is closer to these families, but is only able to offer state-funded respite services. Most families would benefit from more hours and have expressed this to me, and it's the main reason I have come before you today. I came before this commission when the transition first occurred, was not allowed to speak. Lisa Barnes neglected to reach out to myself and a service provider who also requested to speak. This resulted in media coverage, which you have a copy of the article, to bring about awareness of the struggle for the families who had no voice in the decision that was made to switch their Medicaid benefits to Trillium. I'm asking that you all please consider allowing Rest Care located in Rocky Mount to serve the Nash County families with all of the services allowed by granting permission for Rest Care to expand their contract to include developmental therapy and personal assistance. There is no cost to do so that I'm aware of. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak, and you have my contact information. I have with me today one of the parents, and I had invited others, but they were not able to come here today. I'm not standing before you as Rest Care because I work for Rest Care. The executive director for Rest Care can attest to this. So when I got the job there, I let her know that I wasn't there because Rest Care was not the most important factor for me. The most important factor is the people that I serve, and I will continue to serve. Regardless of the decision you make today, I will continue to advocate for the families. I don't know if any one of you are affected by anyone with a mental health disability, but it is a struggle, and these families deserve the opportunity to have some help and reinforcement to educate, train, and develop these individuals so they can also have a better quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Next speaker is Lige Daughtridge. Morning, Lige.
Good morning, Chairman Davis, Commissioners, County Manager Lamb. My name's Lige Daughtridge. I reside in the Nash County side of Rocky Mount at 112 Candle Court. I also am a board member of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. I'm a past chairman of the Rocky Mount Chamber of Commerce. I'm a small business owner in Nash County. And I serve on several statewide boards that focus on improving the economic development primarily in rural North Carolina in such areas as Nash and Edgecombe County. I have a tremendous respect for the Nash County Commissioners and the responsibility that you have to the citizens and taxpayers of Nash County. As a small business owner, I support the concept of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. I feel we will win the race of economic development if we all pull together and we're stronger as we all pull together and as we're pull as a region and a cluster than working separately. Economic development that happens in our region, even beyond the two counties of Edgecombe and Nash, benefit all of us. Maybe I should remind everyone that Firestone and Wilson County certainly benefits citizens of Nash County. Many of our citizens are employed at Firestone and other places such as that. I have been involved at the state level promoting the 80 rural North Carolina counties with a focus on economic development, as I mentioned earlier. The trend is to move in a regional or clustered approach on such things as water, sewer, highways, broadband, portions of economic development. Another example would be our farmers work on a regional approach and from a state approach for the benefit of our farmers. If I remind you, and I don't know what it is in Nash County, but from North Carolina, it's an $87 billion industry and employs 17% of our workforce. And I know it's a large benefit for Nash County. As part of the North Carolina Rural Center, we're encouraging a focus on entrepreneurship and small business. I'd like to say that as a member of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership Executive Committee, I have not officially heard direct concerns from the Nash County Commissioners until Saturday in the Rocky Mount Telegram. Now, I've spoken individually with a few of you, but I'm curious to learn if there are any provisions or areas of concerns of the Carolina Gateway Partnership that could be put into place and we could directly address those concerns with the commissioners. I think that would be a great opportunity for the commissioners and the board at the Carolinas Gateway Partnership out of respect to each other. I would ask that you delay your vote so the concerns can be addressed, and if they are not, then you can certainly leave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lodge. My next person may be a Hardy. First name starts with a B. I can't quite make it out. I'm sorry. Live on Smith Street. Subject matter is Trillium. You gonna state your name and address for us anyway, or are you not?
My name is Violet Hardy.
Hardy, okay. Thank you.
My address is 206 Smith Street in Rocky Mount. I come before you today as a grandmother of an autistic child. You know, as you get older, it gets tougher. He's been with just respite for the last 10 years. And I guarantee you someone in this courtroom knows or have an autistic child. So you know what I go through every day. So I'm gonna try to read this as I wrote it. I'm a grandmother raising an autistic grandson. It has been truly a struggle to obtain developmental therapy support for him. Switching to Trillium meant just respite for him. He is a young man of 17 years of age. And every morning, I have to get in the shower with him to get him prepared for the day. You never know what goes through a child's mind. You can't read it. So I do the best I can. In the last 2 years, nothing has changed for the state funds. I want to have the choice to choose a provider. Mrs. Jordan has been advocating for me and other families. And this I can know without reading. Without their help, I wouldn't even have the 5 hours that I did have. I had went to Easter Seal at one time, but then something happened and they moved and they weren't able to help within the state. When Nash moved Trillium, respite and home care was the only agency that would take us. I constantly called Trillium to see where he was on the waiting list for an innovation waiver slot. No answer, or we don't have any slots available. Now I'm told More services are available, but my agency of choice, Respite, is being denied the contract expansion. This is not fair to me and many of the other families in the community. And I'm asking you to act on our behalf and my agencies to let us be able to choose the people that we know will help our children and not just in it for the benefits. We have to stand up for our children. It's not about money. It's about getting help for them. And please forgive me for
Ma'am,
my emotionals today.
You're quite all right. You go ahead.
Well, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for just listening to me. Thank you.
Glad to have you this morning. The last speaker I had sign up was Rose Whitaker. Is that Rose Whitaker here this morning? Ms. Jordan, do you know Rose Whitaker? Yes, sir. Is she here? Okay.
If I may speak one more time, just on what Ms. Whitaker was just referred to,
Was she here and left, you think, ma'am?
I don't know. Just real quick, she was referred to Rest Care from Trillium. She has a 3-year-old little girl that is visually impaired and hearing impaired. And there again, they're only offering respite. I don't understand why they didn't refer her to Easter Seals, but they called me. And I'm just asking on her behalf if you all would still try to support or look into this, because I do support the Twin County efforts. I know Rocky Mount is Nash and Edgecombe. So you know I'm from Edgecombe. But my heart and my efforts is everywhere. It's not just here. But these individuals would like to have a choice of providers. And all I'm asking, if you allow Rest Care to expand or support us with getting a contract to expand for the services that has been offered, it says all providers. I gave you a copy of the memo that was sent out in November. So, and me trying to help these families, I run into a brick wall. They need more than respite. And that's all they've got in the last 2 years.
Okay.
And I understand you all has not selected a person to represent your constituents or families on that board for Trillium. And hopefully, maybe one of you would step up and do that. And Rest Care, it would be glad to help these families in this area, because we're right here. We're right here. And thank you for your time again today. And I hope to hear from you. You have my numbers to contact me. I hope to hear from you. It's very important that we continue to reach out to the people that are less fortunate in the community. And this grandmother, for one, I've been with her for 7 years trying to advocate for her to get service for her grandson. And with that, and I will continue to come before here to keep asking and go where I have to. And thank you so much, each and every one that's here today, for your time and consideration. I know you all can make a difference, because we were all elected to be a responsible voice for our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan, and we will have our staff get back in touch with you on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
That is the people that had signed up previously. Is there anyone else in the room that came wishing to speak this morning that has not spoken, that did not realize you needed to sign up? Seeing none, I appreciate what each one of you had to say this morning, and we'll move on our agenda to item number 6, which is a resolution to designate May as an older adult awareness and senior game participant month. Michelle Knight, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be able to stand here and share with you something that we are very passionate about in senior services. In 1984, the Down East Senior Games began with a vision to create a year-round health promotion and wellness education program for adults age 50 and better. Today, there are over 60,000 participants in 52 local games programs that serve all 100 counties across the state. Senior Games is a holistic approach to the mind, body, and spirit staying fit while enjoying the company of friends, families, spectators, and volunteers. I'm very pleased to have our Senior Center Supervisor, Ms. Morgan Dowdy, here today, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about Senior Games in our area.
Morning, Ms. Dowd.
Good morning. Like Michelle said, my name is Morgan Dowdy, and I do work over at the Nash County Senior Center, but I also serve as the Downey Senior Games Coordinator. So we are very excited this year to be celebrating Downey Senior Games right here in Nash County, as we will be bringing over 200 active older adults to Nash County between April 27th through May 22nd. The Downey Senior Games is composed of Nash, Edgecombe, Wilson, Halifax, and Northampton counties. Participants can compete in their own age and gender categories within 5-year increments. The Downey Senior Games strives to promote health and competition with athletic events such as bocce, cornhole, horseshoes, shuffleboard, croquet, swimming, and billiards. While athletics are our main focus of the games, we also offer events such as the Silver Arts, which include visual, literary, and heritage arts. Participants can compete in events such as painting, drawing, photography, essay writing, basket weaving, knitting, and quilting. We also have a performing arts piece that allows participants to compete by singing, dancing, telling a joke, or playing an instrument. Being active is key to a healthy lifestyle, and that's what we really strive to promote within Downey Senior Games. Not only do we encourage a little friendly competition, we also encourage socialization and fellowship. Our participants make friends and win gold, bronze, and silver medals at the same time. Downey Senior Games has participants this year as old as 94 and as young as 53 competing, which shows that age is just a number. A quote that describes our Downey Senior Games very well is that growing old is mandatory, but growing up is only optional.
Very nice quote. Michelle?
According to the most recent state aging profile posted by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, for the first time in our state's history, the number of adults aged 60 and better exceeds the number of people who are under the age of 18. So we believe that it's important now more than ever to promote health and wellness of this population by requesting that our Nash County Board of Commissioners adopt the following resolution. And you all have a copy of the resolution in your packet. Designation of May as Older Adult Awareness and Senior Games Participation Month. Whereas Nash County recognizes Older Adult Awareness Month and Senior Games Participation Month in May 2019. And whereas Nash County is committed to supporting older adults as they take charge of their health, explore new opportunities and activities, and focus on independence. And whereas Nash County can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals by encouraging mature adults and the entire community by providing opportunities and experience during the Down East Senior Games, an Olympic-styled event designed to create year-round health promotion and competition for participants that are age 50 and better. And whereas the Down East Senior Games, held April 27th through May 22nd of this year, is sanctioned by the North Carolina Senior Games Incorporated. And whereas the regional event engaging the counties of Nash, Edgecombe, Halifax, Northampton, and Wilson with the goal to enhance growth, development, and connection to opportunity for all participants and volunteers was founded 35 years ago in 1984. And whereas participants will compete in a total of 48 athletic events and 34 artistic categories. And whereas our well wishes are extended to all of the competitors. Now therefore, the Nash County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims that May be recognized as Older Adult Awareness and Senior Games Participation Month in the County of Nash, and promotes participation as well as volunteerism within the Downey Senior Games program.
This first day of April 2019.
Thank you.
Pleasures of the board. Entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
Move adoption.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
I have. Now, is there any questions about the motion or any comments from commissioners at this time?
I just think it's a wonderful thing. Talmadge presided in it for many years. The last few years it has not. But it does bring together the elders of other counties to get to do the joy. But it also gives them being involved in the community. And I think, Rocky Mount has always kind of had one, but Nash County people play in it. And it's just wonderful that that the seniors can get together and do something, and I support it.
Thank you very much. And I do just want to mention, we have a longtime Senior Games participant here, Mr. Orlandis Moore, who has participated in the games since they started, and he has won over 100 medals. Wow. He was featured in a story by the Nashville Graphic, and we displayed all of his medals. They overtook him. He had to sit down just to put them all on, but he is a huge supporter of the Senior Games. So thank you all so much for your support as well. Excuse me?
We ask him to stand.
Yes, Mr. Moore. Thank you all so much.
I see one correction, just a typo that we need to correct in this, but other than that, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Resolution stands approved. And thank you, Michelle, and your staff for everything you do. The next item on the agenda, all right, is a 5-minute break, I'm told, to my left. Maybe 8 minutes, but at this time, we'll take a very short recess. We're now on item 7 on our agenda. That item is titled Commissioners to Discuss Future Relationship Between Nash County and the Carolina Gateway Partnership, and I'll call on our County Manager, Z. Lamb, at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Today, the Commissioners will discuss the county's future relationship with the Carolina Gateway Partnership. Commissioners will decide whether to continue to be a partner in the partnership or to discontinue being a partnership and take on economic development as a county department. Over the last couple of weeks, we had been asked, staff had, to come up with information that's provided in the agenda. All the commissioners were afforded input to that information, as well as staff, and at this time, I would turn it back over to the chairman for any discussion the board may want to have.
Okay, any commissioners wish to speak on this item?
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Belfield?
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I just want to state why I don't agree with withdrawing from the Gateway Partnership. Partnerships, as I have traveled around the country, has more influence in attracting large industry. Companies always take a good look at resources available and the impact that they could have in a community. And that's one of their big decisions in locating an industry in a particular area. Another reason is that the industries, in looking at the impact, they also look at the resources. We have some things that we need to do as we attract industry, and I won't get into all the details. We need to look at the fact that grants, and most grants by foundations or government or whatever, looks at it from the standpoint of regional impact. And I just don't see us as a county going along expecting that we would be able to influence them, that one county can have that kind of an impact. We also need to take a look at Eastern North Carolina. All of us in here ought to know that Eastern North Carolina is a stepchild to the rest of the state. We're losing population of young people, people over 60 makes up more of our population than you have those that are 18 to 25. So we must look at all of Eastern North Carolina because the political power and everything is in the Piedmont and the mountains. And you can just look at the makeup of government. Usually, another thing that I have noticed that industries look at how well we get along and how well we work together in the area. They don't want to be located in an area that's rivaling themselves, turmoil. And we've had issues before, and that hadn't completely gone away by the school system. And that's gonna crop up again. Because I heard some things and talking with some people over the weekend, that school issues gonna come up again. Nash County, I can remember when Bill Rose was here as industrial director. Nash County had the lead in Firestone located here in this area. And it was rejected. It wasn't the county, but the industrial director said it's offering too many jobs. And all of a sudden, if it decided to shut down, look how many people are out of work. Well, that didn't happen. But located in Wilson, it had a great impact. There were many people from Nash County that were employed there and still are employed there, and many that have retired. Why can't we work together? Why can't we table this and work with the board of directors and the staff of Gateway Partnership and bring about an update in the agreement? I believe that is the way to go, and therefore I will not support withdrawing from the Gateway Partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Belfield. Other commissioners have comments at this time?
I would like to make a comment also.
Ms. Wells?
I think that we're making a mistake. I think the thing, we don't look at the full picture and we say we are, but the Gateway is out representing Nash, Edgecombe mostly. And sometimes we get so upset when we see things going to other counties. But let's take Edgecombe, and I'm gonna talk about that. Where do they shop? They have nowhere to come but to Rocky Mount or Nash County, really. They buy houses in Nash County if they go to those businesses, so we still get the tax base. I just think that we need to sit down, work this thing out, and see if there's some way we can come together with a working solution. I was asked that I had calls. I have not had any calls from any of you. I have talked to 1, 2, 3 of you, because I'm in Rotary with some of you. But I have had calls from other people that are not on that board that think we're making a big mistake. So I just think we need to sit down with each other, come up with some workable solution, and see if we can't move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. Other commissioners' comments at this time?
Yes, I would just like to have a few comments on it.
Ms.
And I'm listening to all the comments coming, and you know, it's amazing how we can keep saying, let's work together, and we can't meet together. We can't talk about the issues. Now, to all the gentlemen, thank you for being here this morning. How many times have you been asked to meet? Let's talk, work this out. No meeting. But what I'm saying is, when we try to meet you halfway and work on issues, and they keep saying, we can work it out, but if you don't make a move and do something, it's not gonna be worked out. So large or small, in everything we do, it takes a commitment, whether it turns out right or wrong. You take your stand on it and do the very best you can. But it's amazing to me to see how many could turn out this morning on this issue and how many times we've been asked to meet before this, and nothing worked out. So that's something to think about. In your, not only today, but in years to come, in all your dealings, always think about that. Have I done all I could do to make this work? Not in words. That's our trouble now, we do it in words, not in deeds. And for that reason, I would say, you know, if you try something for so long and it don't make improvements, it don't take a lifetime to show some improvement. And if it's not showing some improvement, that lets you know it needs some adjustments. So for that reason, I am leaning toward the separation and moving forward to trying to make Nash County a better place for our citizens in which live, because right now, it's not showing me that we are going in that direction.
Thank you, Ms. Whitney. Other comments from the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Outlaw?
I've been on this board for 10 years. This is a subject that has been discussed off and on for that entire time. I think I would be accurate in making that statement. Since it has resurfaced this time, I have heard from one individual that voted in my district. One individual. And I heard from that individual yesterday. I was out of town yesterday, so when I got back in town last night, I responded to that individual. And my response to him was pretty simple. I listen to the people, and I try to make decisions based on the facts as I see them. And some may view these facts as selective facts. I don't know, but I base it on what I think are the facts. Now, I don't mean this as a criticism, because I recognize that I'm just a nobody. I realize I'm not a very important person in Nash County. And there are a lot of important people in this room today. But other than Vince and Dracchio, there is not a person sitting in this room that has contacted me personally to say, would you like to talk about this issue to see if we could work it out? Vince also made the comment that he recognized that this decision was going to be made by 7 people sitting on this board, and he had no voice in that decision. Well, I would take issue with that. You do have a voice by contacting the people that you elect. Again, I've been contacted by one individual, and I've responded to that individual, and I think the response was adequate because I have not heard back from that individual. Now, it was also stated from the floor today that we should meet and we should try to address concerns that we have with the CGP. Has any effort been made to reach out and meet with this board from the CGP? Other than the one discussion that Chairman Davis and I had with Vince, which was initiated by him. I don't think so, unless I'm an old guy and my memory may not be what it used to be, but I don't remember anybody in this room or otherwise reaching out and saying, hey, Wayne, would you like to sit down and let's see if we can address these concerns? No, I didn't get that. What I got was a letter in the paper and sent to my home address from the influential people in Nash County. And I value those people, but I also take my responsibilities as a Nash County Commissioner very seriously. And I want you to know that. And this is not something that I woke up one morning this week and said, I think this is something we should do. It's not. There's a lot that I can't say to you that I wish I could say to you, and if we could have met privately and discussed a lot of things, maybe we could have said those things, but nobody made that effort. I wish that we could have done that, but we didn't. I think Nash County does have the resources. I think we have the competence. I think we can execute on economic development. We've started that with our retail developer, and I think we can continue that with industry. So for that reason, I would be supportive of the separation from the Gateway Partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Outlaw. Other comments from commissioners at this time?
I'd like to make a comment. I am new to this board, and I'm still learning. I've really made it a priority to listen to those outside of my district, outside of my county, but really focused on the people that I have been elected by to represent. The things I've heard and observed in my short time here is that by Nash County separating from Carolina's Gateway Partnership and going on their own to do economic development, we would be able to be focused, flexible, and more competitive by being on our own, and be able to have improved communications by being a smaller, more focused organization. Again, I've been contacted by one person that initiated the contact within my district, but I've taken it on my own to speak to others that I represent. And the people in my district support Nash County separating from Carolina's Gateway.
Thank you, Mr. Leggett. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, in the time I've been on the board, 2.5 years, I've heard this subject talked. I heard it talked before I was a commissioner. My predecessor, Mr. Billy Morgan, talked about how we spent money with Carolina Gateway Partnership. We got nothing in return. I agree with Ms. Richardson that if we just sit down somewhere and talk about the thing, and everybody knows that this board has talked about it and toyed around, and it's not been an easy decision where we are today. And I do support our separation from the partnership, and at this time I'd like to make a motion that we discontinue being a partner with Gateway and take on economic development as a county department effective October 1st, 2019.
Okay, Commissioner Combs has chosen to put a motion on the floor at this time. Is there a second to that motion? And then I would entertain further discussion if it is any. Is there a second to that motion?
I would second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this item?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Belfield?
I would like to amend that motion that we table this situation for 60 days and see if we can work out an appropriate agreement that would be satisfactory to Nash County.
Mr. Belfield, understand what you said. I need to ask my attorney if he considers your comments in order at this time.
I don't believe it. I don't believe they are in order at this time.
Well, you can amend the motion now.
Sure, but you got to get the consent or a second and another.
Well, you have a second on the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. We're going to vote on his amendment.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
You gotta vote on this.
Mr. Outlaw?
I don't know much about Robert's Rules of Order, but it would be my opinion, based on what I do know, that that is not an amendment to the motion. That is a different motion.
And that's exactly what I'm getting ready to say,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Outlaw.
I would agree with that.
Okay. And so, Mr. Belfield, with that said, I would have to declare that motion out of order because it is different to the motion and will not be in order at this time.
Well, then I'll offer motion that we,
Well, sir, I have a motion on the floor, and it's second. At this time, I have to address that motion prior to taking an additional motion.
well, I have the right to offer motion now. Yeah, now, Robert Rules of Order, I can do that, and have a right to amend motions too.
You can't amend a motion, you can't make a motion until I get through with the motion that's currently on the floor. Any other discussion on this motion? I've got two attorneys each side of me still discussing the matter. I'm gonna make sure I do it correctly.
Yeah, can I-
You know, the way to do it.
But anyway,
Got to do the
motion that's on the floor.
I know it's just semantics.
Mr. Chairman, again, I'm not an expert on Robert's Rules of Order,
Yes, sir.
but I want Mr. Belfield to have his voice, just like I do every member of this board. So would it be appropriate for Mr. Cone to retract his motion and then let Mr. Belfield put his motion on the floor? We will vote on that motion. If that motion fails, then we can vote on, Mr. Cone can resubmit his motion. If that motion passes, then we won't need Mr. Cone's motion.
Well, I don't, that's not the way I would generally operate, Mr. Outlaw.
I understand.
I don't ask a motion on the floor with a second to withdraw that motion. What I can do is take a substitute motion, at this point. If there is a substitute motion, then I would vote on that substitute motion. So is there a substitute motion to the motion that's on the floor at this time that already has a second?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I offer a substitute motion.
Okay?
And the more I'm thinking about it in the back of my mind, that's the way I should have done it in the first place. I offer a substitute motion that we table this for 60 days and see if we can't meet and work out an agreement that Nash County, that would be pleasing to Nash County.
Okay, is there a second to Mr. Bellfield's motion?
Second.
I have a motion and I have a substitute motion and a substitute second that asks that we table this for 60 days.
Yeah.
Any more discussion on that motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Outlaw.
I would just like it to be very clear to this board what we're voting on.
Okay.
So please explain it and make sure they understand what their vote will mean.
Be glad to do
Not
that,
to
sir.
insult anybody's intelligence.
Be glad to do that, sir. What we had was the original motion on the floor to move forward with withdrawing from the Gateway Partnership effective October the 1st, 2019. I had a second to that motion, but during discussion, I got a substitute motion entered on the floor that says basically that they would wish to table this item for 60 days and then bring it back up again. I have a second to that substitute motion also. So in my opinion, I've got to deal with the substitute motion first. If it fails, we will go back to the original motion without any additional discussion and vote on that motion. So at this time, all in favor of the substitute motion, please raise your hand. That motion fails. And back to the original motion, and that motion was to, effective October the 1st, 2019, that Nash County would withdraw from the Gateway Partnership. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by raising the hand as well. And that motion carries by, is there any opposed to that motion?
Fred
All right.
voted twice.
That motion, carries at a 5-2 vote, Madam Clerk. I'd like to thank each one of you for being here this morning. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. Be glad to have you stay. We'll move on at this time to item number 8, which is a public hearing on a text amendment for the Unified Development Ordinance, and I'll call on Adam Tyson at this time to present the request.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Before we get started this morning, I want to introduce you to our new senior planner, Mr. Adam Culpepper. He is literally the new Adam in our department. He's taken my old position. He comes to us after 3 years as a planner with the town of Fuquay-Varina. He has a undergraduate bachelor's degree in planning from East Carolina University and a master's degree from Virginia Tech. This is the beginning of his second week on the job. He had a strong start last week. We're happy to have him here. This morning, you have a text amendment request before you to amend the County Unified Development Ordinance. This is to remove some language that was related to a state rule that was repealed in 2015 after it was allowed to expire. In February 1987, the Public Water Supply section of the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality's Division of Water Resources enacted the rule that's on the screen in front of you here, entitled Ground Absorption Sewage Collection Treatment Disposal Systems, or as it more commonly came to be known as the 40,000 square foot rule. This rule applied to lots that met 3 criteria. Number 1, they did not have access to public sewer service. Therefore, number 2, they were intended to utilize an on-site septic wastewater disposal system. And number 3, they were also located within a critical watershed of a reservoir that provides actual public drinking water. Any lots that met those 3 criteria were required by the state rule to include a minimum of 40,000 square feet of lot area, excluding the road right-of-way. The purpose of the rule was to avoid densely clustering septic systems for the fear that their failure could contaminate sensitive drinking water reservoirs. Within Nash County's jurisdiction, the rule applied within 3 limited protection areas that are shown on this map, which is included in your agenda packet as well. You have the blue Tar River region, which is directly upstream, of course, of the Tar River Reservoir, then the green Toys Knot, and the kind of orangish buckhorn that are related to those 2 reservoirs further to the southeast in Wilson County. And so those are the areas where this 40,000 square foot rule applied within our county. We adopted regulatory requirements into our Unified Development Ordinance to assist in the enforcement of this 40,000 square foot rule. In 2013, the North Carolina General Assembly established a Rules Review Commission that was tasked with reviewing and renewing all state administrative rules at least once every 10 years. And in December of 2015, both the agency that enforced the rule, the North Carolina Public Water Supply Section, and the Rules Review Commission jointly determined that that rule had become unnecessary. They made that determination based on 2 other separate regulations that were put into effect since the rule was originally adopted. The first one was the requirement that on-site septic systems be permitted with a designated repair area set aside on the same lot. That minimizes the consequences of a catastrophic septic system failure because they have ensured before the first system is installed that there's a backup area for a repair system. That lessened the threat that was posed by failing septic systems within these watershed areas. And then the second was the enactment of other separate watershed protection rules in the early 90s by North Carolina, and these are also found in our Unified Development Ordinance and will remain in effect. They are focused on developmental density, which also concerns lot sizes, and limitations on built-upon area and impervious surfaces. So the combination of those 2 things being enacted after the 1987 introduction of this rule led the enforcing agency and the Rules Review Commission to determine that it was unnecessary and it was allowed to expire in December 2015. Included in your agenda and also on the screen is a copy of a memorandum dated June 17, 2016, where this information was communicated to the counties that included these areas. However, the Nash County Unified Development Ordinance has never been amended to remove the requisite language or the related language that's in our local document. And so this is the opportunity to do that. This amendment will repeal the portions of Article 12, Section 12.1 and subsection 12-1.2, originally intended to accommodate the now expired rule. This rule has been identified as an obstacle to an upcoming rezoning request that will be before the planning board later this month and could very possibly be on your agenda for the May 6th meeting. I do want to emphasize that repealing this rule or this language, which is directly tied to that expired state rule, doesn't affect the other minimum lot size standards that are found in other places in the ordinance. We still have minimum lot size requirements that are tied to what zone the property is located in, and we also have minimum lot size requirements tied to separate watershed protection overlay districts. And so by repealing this rule, you don't automatically allow a lot to be created at a smaller lot size than is currently allowed, but it does pave the way for future rezonings that are located within those three designated areas. Included in your agenda packet is a copy of the current ordinance language, and the language that is to be removed has been highlighted and struck through as so. The Technical Review Committee considered this request back on February 28, 2019, and recommended approval. The Planning Board considered the request on March 18, 2019. One member of the public was present to speak in favor of approving the request. There was no one who spoke in opposition. The Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend 1, approval of Consistency Statement A, which is listed below, which finds the request to be reasonable, in the public interest, and consistent with the land development plan. And then 2, approval of the actual requested text amendment. This is a 2-motion process, so the board will need to adopt a consistency statement. Again, as mentioned, A is for approval, B is for denial, and if you can identify the reasons why you might lean toward denial, I stand ready with the attorney's assistance to help you craft that consistency statement if you so choose. And then a second motion, which would be to actually approve or deny the text amendment request. And I'll be glad to take any questions you might have on that item.
Any questions from commissioners at this time of Mr. Adams? I think he did a very good job of explaining it.
Does that mean if we approve this, it wouldn't have any effect on any other zoning areas in the county?
That's right. If you approve this, no one's zoning status changes automatically. If you approve this, then a rezoning that may be before you next month, this would not be an obstacle. But it doesn't obligate you to approve that rezoning. It simply paves the way by removing this ordinance language, which really should have been removed back in 2016 when the state rule was allowed to expire.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Outlaw, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in a public hearing on item 8, which is a text amendment that was explained by Mr. Tyson very well. If there's anyone at this time in the audience that wishes to speak on this item, I'd appreciate if you come forward at this time and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no movement, I'd entertain to close the public hearing at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Richardson. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wells. Any questions on that motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Public hearing is now closed. The pleasure of the board, and of course it is a 2-step process. I would entertain a motion first for a consistency statement, either A or B.
Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of consistency statement A.
All right, is that motion include the 2 items listed under that, Commissioner
sir.
Outlaw?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? And then we would need a second motion, that would approve or deny the text amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the text amendment.
I have a motion for approval. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Text amendment stands approved. Mr. Tyson? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I just make one comment regarding your presentation? It was very professional. There were no questions once you presented the facts. I appreciate the job you're doing. You're doing an excellent job for the county.
Thank you, sir.
And I would amen that statement, Commissioner Outlaw, as I'm sure every board member would. Next item on the agenda is budget amendments, item number 8, and I call on Donna Wood at this time to present those.
Good morning. The following budget amendments are being presented for the board's consideration for fiscal year 18-19. The first item is with the Parks and Rec Department. This is a budget amendment that makes funds available that have already been collected in sponsorship revenue for the spring sports. It's $9,155. No additional county dollars are requested. The next item is with the Health Department. This budget amendment is to budget funding that restores the previous reduction to the Healthy Mothers, Healthy Children program. These funds will enable the local health department to provide additional services based on locally determined needs and circumstances. It's $27,565. No county funds are requested. Next item is also with the Health Department. This budget amendments to budget a one-time maternal and child health mini-grant fund to strengthen existing efforts or program activities by providing staff training, purchasing programmatic equipment, and supporting men and women in reproductive life planning. It's $20,757. No county funds are requested. Next item is with our Social Services Department. This budget amendments to budget additional social services block grant federal funding for administrative expenses, and also to adjust the funding to accommodate the request for workforce-based salaries. It's $5,229. No county funds are requested. Next item, within the Emergency Services Department, this is amendments for a supplemental grant from the State of North Carolina Department of Public Safety. These funds are for hosting incidental command job-specific trainings, performing EOC enhancements to include technology improvements, developing a local incident management team, Type 3, and conduct a full-scale exercise and other EMPG equipment, $17,900, and there are no additional county funds requested for that item. The next item is within the Sheriff's Office. This budget amendment is to appropriate donated funds to the community as directed by the local Sheriff's Citizen Advisory Committee for needy families and other services. It's $5,297. No county funds are requested. Next item, within the Planning Department, this amendment is to budget additional funds for cell tower applications received. Cell tower applications are pass-through fees for cell tower revenues. It's $2,500. No additional county funds are requested. The next two items are with Cooperative Extension. The first item is a budget amendment for grant funds for the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services for the 2018 Local Farmers Market Cooperative Advertising Program. It's being reimbursed 50%. This budget amendment is needed to cover additional expenses for the advertising. It's $1,837. No additional county dollars are requested. And the item underneath that is for budget funds from the Down East Partnership for Children for collaborative activities from January through October of 2019. The grant funds received to date are $270. No additional county funds are requested. Next item is in the Soil and Water Conservation Department. This budget amendment is to budget grant funds and program sponsorship for the Soil Health Multi-Species Cover Crop Initiative Program, $2,966. No additional county funds. The next item is within our county capital. This budget amendment appropriates fund balance to cover purchase of land at the airport. It's $121,480. The Next items with insurance proceeds. This budget amendment makes funding available from insurance proceeds received from claims to cover vehicle repairs in the Sheriff's Office and emergency medical services. It's $22,218. No additional county funds are requested. And the last item is within the Travel and Tourism Special Revenue Fund, and this is to budget their fund balance to update scoreboard and kiosk panels with the new logo. It's $5,432, and no county funds are requested for that item.
All right, that's a total of 13 budget amendments. Is it, any commissioner have any questions or comment on either of those 13? Seeing none, entertain a motion for approval of the 13 budget amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Outlaw, a second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions on that motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Budget amendments stand approved.
Thank you.
Ms. Wood, thank you. Next item is item 10. Mr. Belfield, you said something a while ago. Did I skip something? Or?
No, I started to say something, but I didn't, but it was just that you said item 8, and it was item 9.
Okay. Excuse me.
So I just figured that you it might have been mislabeled on your sheet.
Actually, this time it was not. I misspoke, it seems like, but now we're on item number 10.
Not all that important, just so we discussing the right thing.
That's correct. Thank you, sir. Item number 10 is board appointments. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning. The following appointments need to be considered. The Tourism Development Authority, the TDA, has members that terms expire April 30th, 2019. Renthro, Webster, Williams Jr., and Dan Daly, and George Griffin. Each of these members is eligible and recommended for reappointment. And then there are going to be 3 that we'll need to find replacements for. That's for Tara Nelson, Samantha Mislow, and Robert Johnson.
Just a little explanation on that. The 3 members that are eligible for reappointment I've spoke to all of those, and they're all very good members, attend every meeting, though we do not have many, and both of them would like to continue serving. And then the vacant ones are each a situation where they have relocated out of the county, unfortunately. They were all very good members, but they all have taken jobs somewhere else. And the first 2, Ms. Nelson and Ms. Samantha, I'm gonna say, so I won't get her last name wrong. I kid her about that all the time. Are collective members, and I have got a list of recommendations from the hotels of people they would like to have on there. They do have to be either an employee of or own a hotel for those 2 positions. And if you have someone else, if you'll get it to me, I intend to talk to the 3 that I've got already and bring those before the board at the next meeting to get approval. The Robert Johnson, who lives in Middlesex, also relocated out of the county. He is a public member and could be anyone that has an interest in travel and tourism. Sue and Dan, if you would find an individual that would like to fill that slot from just a public member, there's really no criteria for that one. It is generally 2 meetings a year, some email votes occasionally, but like to have someone that has an interest in what the county does as it relates to tourism dollars. If y'all could seek out someone, maybe look at the Citizens Academy and see if anybody listed that as an item they'd like to serve on. Trying to keep the board dispersed throughout the county. But that said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 3 that can be reappointed.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Richards, second that motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Retho, Dan, and George Griffin will be reappointed, and we'll hopefully take care of the next 3 at our next meeting.
Okay. The next one is for the Nash County Board of Adjustment. It has 2 appointments that expire on April 30th, 2019. I apologize, what you're looking at is the reverse of of what these gentlemen are doing. It's Mr. Tommy Bass that's serving as a regular member, and Dennis Ray Cobb that's serving as an alternate member number 1. Both of these individuals are eligible, willing, and recommended for reappointment.
Entertain a motion on this item
I'll make a motion.
to approve. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries as well.
And the next is for the Consolidated Human Services Board. The following members have terms that expire on April 30th. Dorothy Battle, Dr. Doris Knight Thorne, Yvonne Moore, Danny Tyson, Dr. Mike Johnson, Dr. Mark Abel, Commissioner Dan Cohn, Dr. Chandra Meacham Tucker, Pat Adams, and Mickey League. All of these members, except for Dr. Mark Abel, we were not able to hear back from him as of yet, but all of those other members are eligible, willing, and recommended for reappointment.
Move reappointment for those that are eligible.
I make a motion we accept the appointments.
I have a motion by Commissioner Outlaw, a second by
No,
Commissioner.
Belfield.
Excuse me, Commissioner Belfield, I'm looking right at you, Mr. Belfield. Mr. Belfield made a motion. Who was it down there? Ms. Wells made the second to the motion. Is there any question on that motion, which will include all of them but Dr. Mark Abel? I was able to talk to Dr. Abel yesterday afternoon. The chairman of that board wishes to talk to him also.
Okay.
He's gonna need a little bit of persuasion, but,
Okay.
we'll work on that between now and then. He is a great member. He does have a desire to, slow down a little bit, like many of us, so I'm gonna let Dr. Johnson work on him between now and the next meeting. But the other ones, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we're on item number 11, which is the monthly tax report, and I'm pleased to call on Doris Sumner at this time for her first report in her new role.
Good morning, Chairman Davis.
Morning.
County Manager, and the rest of the board. I'm here before you to do the tax report. It is for informational purpose only, so that you know where we are in our collections. It's recommended that you accept it, so it'll be noted in the minutes.
Any questions on the tax report? Seeing none, we'll go to item 12, which is tax refund.
Yes, we do have one tax refund that we do need approval on, so that we can disperse those funds.
Okay, you see the one refund. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Richardson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Belfield. Any questions on that motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries as well. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
And I'd just quickly like to say it is very much in the favor of this board to see our promotions within our county employees. I'm tickled to have another promotion to as well as the rest of us, I'm sure, from within to another department head status. I'm sure you would do a great job, and it just shows the type of employees we do have, shows the type of administration we have to continue funding and educating these positions so they will be ready when someone retires. We hate to lose anyone, but all of us are going to leave at some point in time, and it is very refreshing to be able to promote within, and I thank you for stepping up and doing that. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments from board members?
Thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to working with you.
So do I.
You got some big shoes to fill, but I'm sure your feet will grow into them very nicely.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is commissioner comments. I call on any commissioner at this time to make any comments for the betterment of Nash County.
Mr. Chairman, I just want my reasons for not voting for withdrawal recorded in the minutes.
Clerk has indicated she is certainly willing to do that.
And if you need my pencil copy, I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Should always appreciate that, I'm sure. Any other comments from board members at this time? Seeing none, item 14 is the manager report. I'll call on our manager, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I don't have a long report. I will report that the Nash Rocky Mount School Board will meet tonight at 5 for a work session and 7 o'clock for their regular meeting, monthly meeting, and we anticipate they will take up the matter that the board discussed last week regarding the $800,000 advance to the school board. I would like to ask the board if they wish for anyone to attend that meeting as a resource, a member or staff.
Actually, I have asked Mr. Lamb if he was willing to attend, and he indicated he would. And I have a prior obligation, I'd certainly go, but if there's other commissioners that are available, I think it would show well if any of you could attend to be present at that, and you are going to attend.
Yeah, I will attend both. I'll go at 5.
What's the date? What's the date?
That's this
Tonight.
afternoon.
Oh, tonight.
Yeah.
Well, the work session's at 5 and the meeting's at 7 o'clock. So if any of you can go, let the manager know, and I'd certainly like to go myself, but I promised somebody about 3 months ago I'd be somewhere at 7 o'clock tonight, so that's gonna be hard to do.
The other matters is a reminder of the joint budget meeting on April the 30th at 6 p.m. at Nash Community College. We will have presentations from the community college and the school board regarding their FY 2019-2020 budget. County Assembly Day, which we have every year in Raleigh, is scheduled for Thursday, May 1. However, we've gotten notice, and you may have that on your calendars, we've got notice that due to a rally on the same day by educators throughout North Carolina, that they're looking to reschedule it for Wednesday, May the 8th. We'll confirm that once the change is finalized. I would say that the report we got from the tax office, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought I heard in the news that they were gonna suggest that the teachers' rally be a different date.
The last information we got from the association was that the teachers were meeting on the 1st, which was our scheduled day, and that we may change ours, but we'll check into that.
Secretary of Education has suggested that they not meet that day. He wanted to change the date.
Okay, we'll check into that and let all the commissioners know
Okay.
what's been decided. The tax report does indicate through 8 months that vehicle levy is about 2.5% over last year, and that's consistent with our projections for next year's budget of real property, which is, of course, 90% of our revenues of ad valorem taxes, is also about 2.5%. So that's a good thing. I want to briefly explain the budget process. I won't take very long to do that, but we've had meetings, the staff has met with department heads. We've had a budget retreat. It's April 1, and the budget has to be approved in 3 months, by June the 30th. So I just want everybody to know that the sausage is still being made, and that nothing is in stone yet. And we will certainly be listening to all our constituents and all our department heads. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Bynum?
No, no, sir.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session for economic development and matters of attorney-client privilege, and I'd like to add one item, personnel, onto that list, if I may.
Oh, my.
Sir?
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Anybody have objection to adding personnel on the list as well? Okay.
No.
And it's not about Mr. Lamb, so, that said, do we expect any action? I don't know of any, Mr. Durham. Do not, okay.
Do not.
But if we do, of course, for the press, we would certainly let you know. You're welcome to stay if you like. And this time, I'd call for that motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Richardson, second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions on that motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? And after that, we would be recessing until April the 30th, which is the joint budget meeting at Nash Community College at 6 o'clock.